What's a random life hack you swear by, even if no one believes it works? Story 1. My weird life hack is to keep a small notebook or a piece of paper by my bed and jot down any thought or task that pops into my head before I sleep. It's amazing how much stress it relieves. No more tossing and turning, just peace knowing I'll deal with it in the morning. Story 2. Microwave twice as long at 1/2 the power and get a much better and even heated result. It's still massively faster than heating up a pan on the stove. Story 3. When looking at recipes online, click the print link. This cuts out the unnecessary backstory and random musings. You can also save the recipe as a PDF to your computer, or even just the link to the printable version. Story 4. Talk to yourself. It can help you develop your ideas, process emotional things, also will help you remember how you got to this point in life and why you're like this now. Story 5. We have a small shop vac in the basement laundry room with a HEPA filter on it. I keep it plugged in and I use it to clean the dryer lint trap. No more of lint dust in the air from cleaning it out manually, and the lint trap is really clean every time I use the dryer. Less dust, better dryer airflow, marginally shorter drying times. Story 6. Swallow a couple packets, or a spoonful, of sugar dry to stop hiccups immediately. I'm a casino cocktail waitress, and I bring my hiccuping customers a packet and it always works. Story 7. So random, but I've been hiding all ads on my Pinterest and marking them as irrelevant to me. And I've done it so often that ads only pop up on my home feed like once every other week. Then I do the same with that one ad I see and then no ads again. So basically, I found a weird way to remove ads from an app that is nothing but ads. Story 8. If you have a mosquito bite that is really itchy, take your shower head and just blast it with water as hot as you can stand. You feel the itchiness just melt away. I've tried every method, product, tip, and trick over the years, and this is the only thing that has ever brought any relief. The relief normally lasts for about 24 hours. Story 9. As a lifelong migraine sufferer, drinking a tablespoon of cayenne pepper mixed in a cup of water is the fastest way I've ever been able to get rid of. Story 10. Slow down to speed up. Slow is accurate and accurate is fast. Rushing through everything causes stress, anxiety, mistakes, and costs money. Story 11. Use the banana peel method for important things or objects. This refers to placing somewhere you have to step on it, referring to the slapstick comedy trope if people slipping on a banana peel. For example, if you have a USB drive you need to take to work, put it on top of your keys by the door. If you have some earrings a friend left at your house and you're going to see them later, put them in your shoes. Need to take a textbook to class? Put your keys on top of it. At night, I put my glasses beside my medication before bed. When I wake up, first thing I want is to put on my glasses. I walk out of my room, grab them, then grab my meds because they're right there. Haven't missed a dose in years. Works like a charm. Story 12. Story 13. One thing that really helped me lose and maintain weight was by skipping breakfast. The amount of people who tell me I'm crazy because surely eating breakfast stops you from eating too much throughout the day. No, that's not how it works. I found that I don't need to eat before lunchtime to function properly, and eating breakfast was just adding unnecessary calories. There is no such thing as most important meal of the day, which was a slogan made up by breakfast cereal companies. Story 14. My fellow Americans, buy a bidet. I bought one when COVID hit and toilet paper was hard to find. I bought one for $30, installed it in 5 minutes and have been loving it. I buy a 6-pack of TP a year now and my bum is cleaner than ever. Story 15. If water is in your ear, say swimming or at the beach, just add more water in your ear and have the ear affected. Facing up and jiggle the water. It'll break the air bubble and drain all the trapped water out. Had this happen to a friend and I told him that, and he low-key annoyed me because he didn't believe it. Then later tried it and worked straight away, lol. Story 16. If you have cow to do after work, don't go home and sit down in between. Get home, have a shower, and go straight to doing whatever needs to be done. Taking a moment to have a break will terminate all your momentum. Story 17. If you're worried you didn't turn off an appliance or item in your house, stove, lamp, heater, etc., take a photo after you've turned it off prior. I do this for my office space heater. Every time I turn it off for the day, I snap a photo of it. That way, if I think I've forgotten, which happens often, I can always look at my phone and the photo I've taken. Story 18. The correct amount of sugar in a cake is the amount of flour divided by 2. I learned this from my family, but nobody else seems to think this is a good idea. But when I make a cake for a birthday or something, it's always completely gone. So, I guess it was good after all. I just feel like with that amount of sugar, you almost always end up with a cake that is sweet. But the sweetness is more of a side note than the main flavor. Story 19. Trusting people by default. As long as the cost of betrayal isn't harsh, I won't secure potential risks. That's what I call the coin candy vulnerability. I got a candy where I put excessive coins I may have in my pockets. When I invite friends, I don't bother hiding it. First, it shows I do trust in them, which is always something pleasing to know. And secondly, if someone does take a grab, I'll know they're not really a friend, which is worth much more than the few coins I lost in the process. It goes the same way for sharing stuff about yourself with other people. I do believe most people oversecure their small vulnerabilities, which robs them of the opportunities of having pleasant surprises. If they never give other people opportunities of being trustworthy, then they'll never find anybody to trust. Story 20. If I want to sneeze but somehow can't, I lightly scratch my eyeball, over the eyelid of course while it's closed, like a tickle, and I would successfully sneeze. Even if I don't want to and just want to do it randomly, it always works, for me. Story 21. While it depends entirely on your condition, some panic attacks can be ended by putting a wet ice cube on your forehead. It triggers your dive reflex. Story 22. If you are male and have that stage fright feeling of being in a public toilet when you really need to pee but just can't, do division in your head. I pick a couple of random numbers, say 12,965 divided by 87, and by the time I am halfway close to working it out, I can just pee. It probably helps that I am really cow at maths, so have to concentrate quite hard to do it. It used to be quite an issue for me, but since I learnt that little trick, it's not been a problem since. Story 23. I put a dash or two of salt in my coffee so that I don't need to use as much sugar. Every time I do this, people look at me funny and retch in disapproval, but it works. Salt binds to the bitterness receptors on your tongue, making the coffee taste less bitter and therefore naturally sweeter. Story 24. If you have the freedom. Here's a guaranteed way to spend only an hour at the DMV. Go at 4:30 if they close at 5. Usually they stop letting people in close to 5. Then service the remaining customers. The workers are now motivated to be urgent and go home. Wait time is short and you're out by 5:30. Story 25. Story 26. Vinegar is amazing for stopping pain from sunburn. Get a few pieces of kitchen roll, soak them in vinegar and put it on the places that are sore. Wait for the kitchen roll to dry and have a shower to get rid of the smell. Works like a dream. New never believes me, haha. Story 27. Struggling with foggy mirrors after a hot shower? Rub a little shampoo on the glass and wipe it off. It's weird, but your mirror stays clear. Story 28. Starting to catch a cough cold or already have one, rinse with mouthwash. This occurred to me a few years back, and every time it has helped me get better quicker. Story 29. Couple squares of toilet paper in the toilet water before dropping a deuce. Helps to avoid Poseidon's kiss, the plop causing water to splash you. Story 30. Greasy Tupperware? Pour some water, dish detergent, and add a kitchen paper towel. Close? Shake for a few seconds, and now you have grease-free plastic walls. Story 31. When you got the hiccups, take a half-full glass of water, other drink, and put, not your lips the usual way, but on the other side of the rim. Now stand up and bend over till the water flows into your mouth and drink a few sips. Repeat if necessary. But my hiccups are usually gone after 3 to 4 sips. Story 32. In the winter when it's cold and you want to make a grilled cheese, butter the hot pan and put the bread in it instead of buttering the bread with cold butter. Story 33. House dirty and can't be messed up to clean? Set a timer for 5 minutes and just get to it. Once the timer is done, go back to messing around. Even if it is just cleaning a side table, dusting some shelves, do this at least once a day. Once you start realizing you may want to do more, do a 10-minute timer. Also, whenever you leave a room, take something that doesn't belong in there with you to put in its proper place. A cup, dirty clothes, a bag. If you do this, your house will get surprisingly clean, surprisingly fast. Story 34. Make your lunch the day before. It doesn't take any less time, but when you leisurely do things rather than do things in a rush, life is nicer. Story 35. For all the smokers, if you find a pack of cigarettes laying on the side of the road, that means someone threw it to the side, so it's empty. When you find one in the middle of the path or bike lane, more times than often the pack fell out of someone's pocket and still has cigarettes in it. Nobody throws away their trash by just dropping it. It is always thrown to the side for some reason. Story 36. If you're hungover, get in the shower, wash your hair first, then your body, then your hair again. Something about the second hair wash makes all the difference in getting rid of the grogginess. Story 37. I didn't have a stuffy nose for the last 10 years because of this trick. Press your tongue against your palate with some force while pressing your nose bridge down from above. Hold for 10 to 20 seconds and release. Story 38. Squeaky door hinge? You don't need messy oil or anything else for it. Just put some liquid hand soap on it. It will shut up right away. Don't even need to take the pin out usually. Just put some soap on the hinge and let it run down inside it. It may not last forever, but in my experience, it'll be quiet for more or less a year. Very useful tip to lazy people like me who would rather listen to a squeaky door for a year than go fetch the oil. Or even worse, go buy some. Story 39. Tickle in your throat that won't go away? A teaspoon of sugar with cinnamon sprinkled on top. Swallow and don't drink anything. It's always worked for me. Story 40. CLEP exams are a cheap and quick way to get college credits for things like literature, humanities, and history without having to pay college-level prices. About 20 years ago, they saved my butt when I was in danger of being held back from graduation because a disastrous semester as a bio major put me that deep in the hole with my credit requirement. Story 41. Keep a floss toothpick, the combo one, in your wallet. Never get food stuck in between your teeth after any meal. They are reusable if you're not that picky. Story 42. If you get bit by a mosquito, take a spoon and run it under hot water. Touch the back of it to the mosquito bite, and the heat will terminate off the enzyme that makes it itch. You might have to take a spoon a couple times and heat it up. Story 43. If you have to do something when you get off work, don't take your shoes off. It will remind you that you have to do something before you can relax. And it won't be as arduous to do that one thing you have to do. Story 44. If you struggle with getting started with work each day, next time when you are done with work, take 2 minutes to write down the next very small, 5-minute task you could do the next time you start. I find that it's way easier to keep going if I can just get started, and way easier to think of a start task when finishing work versus groggy after waking up. This probably doesn't work if you're IDK a lumberjack or something, but works great with programming at least. I'd imagine it would help with any creative block. Story 45. I raised my children to be friendly and chummy to service workers. Report helps everything. It never helps to get poor with them and mistreat them. But even if you are a shower that mistreats working people, it does you well to be friendly and polite as if they can do something to help you or fix a problem they will. Sad treating people with decency is a life hack. But here we are. Story 46. When I'm trying to recall something such as someone's name or the title of a movie, I go through the alphabet. As a student, I did this while taking exams, such as when labeling the states on a US map or listing the elements on the periodic table. Works pretty much every time. Story 47. For 5 minutes a day, silently meditating words of affirmation or positive self-guidance. It's a new habit I've recently started practicing in the last 6 months, and it has literally changed my life and my happiness. I've changed my own life. Story 48. If you are sick and can't sleep because of coughing, slather Vicks on the bottom of your feet and put on socks before laying down. Stops the coughing. Story 49. Whenever you get hiccups, think to yourself, I do not have hiccups. Hiccups don't even exist. Don't be silly. You do not have hiccups. Absolutely inexplicably, this is the only method that I know to work immediately 100% of the time. I've learned about this from Charles White, aka Sierra One Tickle. Story 50. Avoid chopping boards and extra bowls, etc. by just chopping and prepping all the ingredients in the same bowl you're going to eat your dinner out of. People tell me I'll cause damage using sharp knives on ceramic bowls. IDK how hard these people are slamming their knives, but no damage so far in 3+ years. Disclaimer, I'm vegetarian so I don't have to worry about salmonella and all that cow. I have no idea about that, so probably don't do it. Story 51. Small one for me, but talking about where I put something down I know I'll need later. I.e., I'm leaving my headphones right here. Doesn't have to be a detailed sentence or loudly proclaimed. Later on, when you do need that item, your subconscious will help point you in the general direction of said item. Might not be immediate, but it'll get you there faster. Story 52. When some electronic thing is starting to flake out, openly discuss replacing it within earshot of said device. Miraculously, it starts functioning again or better. This has happened many times over my decades both at home and work. Probably coincidence, but it happens enough that my family has noticed. And no, I don't think these devices are bugged and the man is trying to keep me from replacing them. LOL. Story 53. Get a designated Leave Essentials bowl and put your keys, wallet, earphones, and everything you carry on your pockets when you need to leave the house. It'll make finding stuff easier and you'll never forget to take some. Story 54. 1. Poop at work. The relief just feels great, man. Dusra. For anything negative that happens, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? 3. Greet people with a bright smile and say their names. Nangav. Take walks in nature. Aindav. Quality of life over. Statistically, this is bad for you. Arav. Check in on people for no reason. 7. Having doubts? Write negatives and positives next to each other. Yettavd. Write down stuff. Story 55. In order to keep bananas from ripening too quickly, separate each banana from the bundle and wrap a bit of plastic wrap around the top of each stem. My partner actually discovered this the other week, and I was blown away with how well it actually works. Story 56. If you ever find yourself having to stay overnight at Kansai International Airport, the second floor has sofas by the escalators that are great for laying down and sleeping. They turn off the escalators around midnight and it's mostly empty on the second floor, more so if you go to the far ends of it. Saved myself a lot of money from not having to get a hotel room and still getting on early morning flights. Story 57. Think positive thoughts. A lot of people don't think it works because it takes practice just like every other skill. It's as simple as having a self-deprecating thought and going, hey, why am I being so mean to myself? Do I really deserve this? No, I don't. Story 58. Cold winter day and heading out to participate in winter activities. Put a little Aquaphor or Vaseline on your face cheeks and it will protect your face and keep you feeling warmer. Story 59. Using different colored tape to put tabs on the ends of cords to easily identify what kind of charger it is. My color code is red tab equals Android charger, green tab equals Type-C, and white tab equals iPhone. And if there is a double tabs on any cord of the same color, it's a rapid charger with a Type-C plug instead of USB. Story 60. Doubling up on socks. I wear athletic ankle socks under long formal socks. Significantly reduces foot fatigue if you have to be on your feet all day. Compression socks help with this too, but doubling up works better in my experience. Story 61. I found this advice in a book I read in high school, and I have used it mostly successfully ever since. If I am in an argument or I am feeling overwhelmed, anxious about a situation, I close my eyes and say to myself, let me see this situation from a different perspective. I then open my eyes and I go about my day, intentionally avoiding thinking about the situation argument for an hour or so. I almost always go back to it later and am able to see it from a different perspective, giving me insight on how to properly move forward. I think it just lets my brain know that there's more to it than what I'm willing to see, and I'm directing it to go find those other paths. Story 62. Removing hiccups by blocking both ears using your index fingers and swallowing. Having a big mouthful of water is key and can be repeated as necessary. Story 63. Putting a damp paper towel over leftovers when you microwave them. It keeps the food from drying out and somehow it tastes way better. People think I'm crazy, but it works every time. Haha. Story 64. I send myself texts of things that I need to buy at the supermarket as the need comes up. Then when I go to the store I have the list on my cell phone. Story 65. I snap my fingers twice when I want to remember a long sequence of numbers short term. When I need to recall what that number was, I snap my fingers again and it helps me remember. I usually do this when I'm measuring, trying out a recipe, or inputting data into Excel. Story 66. When trying on pants, button them up and hold the waistband. Then wrap the waistband around your neck like a scarf. If the ends of the waistband touch or overlap comfortably at the back of your neck, the pants should fit your waist. If the ends don't meet, the pants are too small for you. If they overlap too much, they might be too big. Story 67. After a hard night of drinking, eat a piece of white bread and drink a glass of water before you hit the rack. Never had a hangover with this method.